All these were honored in their generations and were the glory of their times. That verse from the book Ecclesiastes, inscribed on the walls of the Veterans Memorial Building here in Ottawa, for me, captures the valor of the men and women who have and continue to serve our country in uniform in our armed forces, who are the greatest of Canadians. Les hommes et les femmes qui ont servi et continuent de servir ce pays en uniforme dans nos forces armées sont les plus grands des Canadiens. C'est un honneur aujourd'hui pour moi de parler au nom du chef de l'opposition officielle et tous les conservateurs à l'approche de la semaine de souvenirs. Nous honorons les anciens combattants pour les grands sacrifices qu'ils ont faits dans toutes les missions et tous les conflits de l'histoire du Canada. We owe those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, those who have had their lives forever altered, and their families who were left behind, a debt that we can never fully repay. And that instinct to honor our fallen is evident around our country, from Canada's first Road of Remembrance established on Shelbourne Street in Victoria, BC in 1920, to the Crow's Nest Officers Club founded during the Second World War by Captain Rollo Mangai of the Royal Canadian Navy in St. John's, Newfoundland. Canadians strive to memorialize our fallen, honor those who fought and returned home, and show our support for those who still serve our country in uniform today. Parliament Hill hosts one of the greatest memorials, the Room of Remembrance, which contains the records of Canada's fallen warriors. The names of every man and woman who have laid down their lives in service to Canada are logged in books of remembrance, and each day new pages are turned, so Canadians can contemplate the sacrifice of those who gave their lives in service. Each page is a simple list that nonetheless tells a moving story of individuals from every part of our land who spared nothing to keep our country free and who sacrificed everything in defense of all that we cherish today. Les noms comme le sergent Charles Albany Dominique Perron, de Rimouski, du Royal 22e Régiment, dont le nom figure à la page 57 du livre de souvenirs de la guerre de Corée. Charles Robert Loft of London, Ontario, a flying officer with 419 Squadron of the Royal Canadian Air Force, on page 535 of the book which commemorates the Second World War. Royal Navy Ordinary Seaman Sidney MacDonald Wheeler of Notre Dame Bay, found on page 204 of the Newfoundland Book of Remembrance. And closer to home for me, Captain Nicola Goddard of Calgary, on page 219 of the In the Service of Canada Book of Remembrance. In Afghanistan, Nicola was the first Canadian female combat soldier since World War II to lay down her life in frontline combat. Originaire de toutes les régions de Canada et appartenant à toutes les branches de service, ces hommes et ces femmes courageux, ainsi que d'autres, ne représentent qu'une fraction de quelques 120 000 Canadiens qui ont perdu la vie en protégeant les libertés qu'ils chérissaient et le pays qu'ils aimaient. These remind us of the importance of standing up for what is right and just, the need in a dangerous world to defend our values and our freedoms. We must always strive to honor our fallen while showing our support and appreciation for our veterans and our men and women still serving in Canada's armed forces. All of these have served Canada with bravery, dedication, and selflessness, and they pave the way for and now protect the peace that we enjoy today. Remembrance Day is also a time to reflect on the sacrifices of families who see their loved ones go into service. Many have lost husbands, wives, fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters. It is the terrible cost of war. We must be always mindful of the pain of that loss and the need for support endured by the families who were left behind. I want to read from a letter from the front that was sent by a Canadian soldier, Fred Adams of Ontario, who wrote this letter in May of 1915 to his aunt. Dear Aunt, this is the first day they have allowed us to write letters since this battle began, and I have no doubt you're anxious to hear from me. We've lost an awful lot of our fellows, and to those of us who are left, it seems just a miracle that any of us came through alive. About 2 brigades of Canadians held about 5 times as many Germans. It would have done you good to see the boys. I did not see one show the white feather, but each had a set face and went right at it. It was just a nightmare, a hell. We could see the boys falling everywhere, and it was just awful to hear them cry out. We have lost 2 of our guns, and there are only 11 of us left out of the section. All the boys did the best they could, and I, for one, am ready to do it again. Only I hope the war will soon end for the sake of the poor parents, wives, and sweethearts of all the soldiers. Still, I thank God that I am spared and always pray that he will soon end the war. With love, Fred. Sadly, Fred Adams was killed in action just days after this letter to his family. And letters such as Fred's are among the hundreds of thousands that came home from the front to worried loved ones at home. They are vivid reminders of the real people, their humanity, their courage, and their dedication that are the reasons we enjoy the freedoms we do today. It is the privilege of the generations who have received liberty as our legacy to honor the sacrifices of those who secured it for us at so steep a cost. It is our duty and their due that we pay tribute to their sacrifice by fixing their service and their sacrifices in our remembrance, and by ensuring that we always cherish and uphold the very freedoms that they fought for. We will remember them. Nous, souviendrons.